Hey, this is Warren Redlick. This might be my most controversial video ever. Why I think it may be in the best interest of humanity for Elon Musk to move to China. I'm not saying it's going to happen yet. I think Elon probably is aware of this possibility and hasn't done it yet, but I think he has to look at what happens in the next few years and make a decision. There's two primary reasons why I think Elon would be better off in China. And fundamentally, the problem is government. As bad as people think the Chinese government is, in the ways that matter for Elon's goals, I think the Chinese government is actually better than the US government, not just the US government, but state governments. And let's get into why. And I don't even want to consider Europe because they're a total mess. The first thing that really stands out that shows you where the problem is this. Who is producing the most electricity in the world? China by far. This matters if you want to develop electric vehicles. This matters if you want to have a fleet of robo-taxis and robots going around consuming electricity. This matters if you want to have AI data centers, AI training compute clusters that are using massive amounts of electricity. This is 10 terawatt hours. Well, Elon wants to build a terawatt data center, a terawatt training cluster. How are you going to build a terawatt training cluster when the entire United States production is for 4,000 terawatt hours? And it's not just what's being produced now. China's energy production is growing rapidly. America's energy generation is flat. So this is a sign of why the Chinese government is leading in the things that matter. The thing that matters most for a successful society, for economic growth, is energy. If you look at countries that don't use a lot of energy, they have poor economic growth and they have poor economies, and they're poor. They're not major countries. The United States is playing a game of let's stay flat and see what happens. China's saying, screw it, let's grow as big as we can. And if you grow electricity generation like China is doing, you're going to have a lot bigger advantage in doing the things that we want to do for the future. It's that simple. So, what are Elon's goals? Elon's goals are one, to develop a safe, truth seeking artificial intelligence and to be the first to do so. Two, sustainable energy. China is leading in sustainable energy. They're doing solar like crazy, they're doing batteries like crazy. Europe is a disaster. America's a disaster. China's where it's at. Elon wants to get humanity to Mars. Which government do you trust to support Elon and his whatever company he has that's launching rockets to consistently support that mission? We have seen the Biden administration threaten Elon. We've seen them sue SpaceX over not hiring, refugees to work in national defense, security areas. We've seen Trump now threaten SpaceX. And, I think some of the Trump people are talking about, the United States government should nationalize SpaceX, which is a total idiotic idea because if you nationalize SpaceX and put it under government control, the top engineers would leave and SpaceX would become dysfunctional within a year or two. The government can't run a company like that. But if Elon goes to China, there's one thing. He can't talk crap about the Chinese government. They will leave him alone. They will let him cook. Right? This is the problem. Elon just wants to cook. He just wants to be left alone to develop the things that will make society better, that will get humanity to Mars, that will get us to sustainable energy, develop Neuralink brain chips, and develop a truth-seeking AI. Now, the big hurdle that I see is Tesla and XAI are in the hunt to have the leading AI and maybe reach artificial general intelligence, artificial superintelligence. And if he went to China, he would have to take a step back. I think if you don't have growing electricity generation, no one is going to be able to achieve artificial general intelligence and artificial superintelligence because you need a lot of compute. And if the government is standing in the way, as we've seen with the big, beautiful bill, or what I call the big bullshit bill, if the government is standing in the way and interfering with the growth of electricity generation, you can't get, and it's not just the federal government, you've got like local governments and state governments that interfere with the development of electricity, with permitting, all these other things. China is going to say, Elon, you want to cook? Go cook. You want to put humans on Mars and you want to make them Chinese astronauts instead of American astronauts? We're on board. You want to do a moon mission? Whatever Elon wants to do, if he wants to cook, they will let him cook. Just don't say anything bad about the CCP. right? And when you program your truth-seeking AI, it seeks truth. It just doesn't say anything negative about the Chinese Communist Party. That's a little bit of the challenge there. But you want to have a robo-taxi network running nationwide in China? You just need the Chinese government's approval. You don't have to worry about local governments. You don't have to worry about state governments. You don't have to worry about taxi mafias in India, taxi mafias in other places. There's all kinds of political resistance in the United States to all the things that Elon wants to do, and in Europe. Chinese government wants it, it happens. Chinese government will say, sure, go. We already have a Tesla factory there. Elon locates in China and says, let me hire some space engineers. I can show them what to do. They'll have a Starship in 2 years. They'll be landing reusable boosters in 2 years, and they'll be starships, and they might be bigger starships. You get compute cluster, you have a problem. Whatever the problem is, Elon's going to solve that problem faster in China than he's going to solve the problem in the United States because the government keeps getting in the way. And for those of you who think, oh, Trump is just blustering, look, we don't know whether Donald Trump is going to support Elon's missions. We don't know whether the FDA is going to interfere with Neuralink. We don't know whether... We know that the United States makes it very difficult for the Boring Company to bore tunnels. If Elon wants to do the Boring Company in China, China will be like, sure, we could go for some tunnels. Where do you want them? Let's put more in. I can't think of any of Elon's missions that aren't better served by China. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the response I get is from people who are loyal to America, and I'm an American. I would ask you the question, are you loyal to America because you have a fantasy that America will do the right thing? In the face of decades of the American government doing the wrong thing over and over and over again, Republicans, Democrats doing the wrong thing over and over again, I don't know how I can get you out of this brainwashed idea that the United States government is reliable. It isn't. It has repeatedly demonstrated it is not reliable. It is not trustworthy. The Chinese government has its flaws. You don't want to get Jack Ma, right? You have to avoid the Jack Ma situation. I think Elon has shown after something like 5 years with Giga Shanghai, he doesn't say anything bad about the Chinese government. Have you noticed he doesn't say anything bad about the Chinese government? He thinks that Taiwan will inevitably go back to China. If China's economy grows to 2, 3, 4, 5 times the size of the U.S. economy, if the U.S. goes deep into debt and ends up collapsing its economy because of this debt problem, then the United States is no longer able to stop China from taking Taiwan. And there will be some most likely peaceful way that Taiwan is merged into China, just like Hong Kong was. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm not saying I want this to happen. I just think the reality is that we cannot trust the U.S. government system to advance the missions that Elon is on. And Elon's missions are missions I support. I support getting humanity to be a multi-planet species. I support the transition to sustainable energy. I support the opportunity to use robo-taxis and robots to create sustainable abundance. The United States government doesn't support those things. European governments do not support those things. I think it was Mark Andreessen who said that Europe, 80% of the things that robots are going to do are already illegal in Europe. Like Western government, we say that Western civilization is the greatest in the world. Well, I'm not sure it's better than Chinese civilization at that point. And I'm not a fan of the Chinese leadership. I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they don't have problems. But if you are focused on this, we want humanity to survive. We want to get past the great filter of being a single planet species. We want to transition to sustainable energy. We want to create sustainable abundance. All of these things are viable in China, and it's not clear whether they're viable in America. Now, here's what I think Elon's plan is. I think he's not giving up on America yet. I think Elon knows that China has its flaws, and I think he knows that he can speak freely in America, and he can't speak as freely as he wants to in China. I think there probably are weaknesses in China. America probably, when you're looking for elite engineers, America probably has more elite engineers, but China has massive engineering talent. And you want like total volume of engineers and good engineers, China has more. So what I think Elon's plan is, number one, 2024, he helped get Trump elected. He stopped Kamala from getting elected. He put a stop to the woke transition, although the Democratic Party remains hardcore communist. 2026, I think Elon is going to be a very big player in the 2026 midterm elections, maybe in state elections as well. I think he's just decided this is too important. We have to say, I think he sometimes feels if America has lost, it's over. And I don't think that's true. I think China could be the next best option if America fails. But I think he's going to really commit to either having an America party or primarying bad Republicans or something to really shift American politics in 2026 and learn from the process, just like he learned. The thing is, it's not whether Doge was a success or a failure. It's whether Elon and his team learned from what they found in Doge, right? They learned how the government works better. They learned where the money can be saved. It just also learned that the Republican Party doesn't really want to save money, right? So they figured that part out. Okay. And they figured out some things that help you win elections. And now we take another shot in 2026 and you maybe pick up a few seats with the America Party. Maybe you pick up 10, 20 seats. Who knows? Maybe the America Party is able to contest certain races and identify races where they can win. And all of a sudden you have a third party that actually wins congressional seats. And now you've got 2026 coming. And you got J.D. Vance for the Republicans, who has fallen in line with Trump in an anti-energy generation, anti-control the fiscal situation. J.D. Vance has not stepped. I mean, he can't go against Trump, obviously, but you look at where we are, and I don't think J.D. Vance is going to be a credible presidential candidate either. So you would have to come up with a presidential candidate who's going to do what needs to be done. But I think the America Party could be that option. You learn from 2024, you learn from 2026, and in 2028 you take a shot at winning the White House and winning a majority in the House and Senate. If you achieve those things, then you can fix America. My gut hunch is that as much as I think of Elon, he's probably not going to win this fight. But I think he's going to take the shot at winning this fight to see if he can do it. And the question is, if 2026 looks bad, maybe he decides I've learned enough from 2026 is not viable. I'm going to China now. I don't see him giving up. I don't see him giving up on the Mars mission. I don't see him giving up on developing a truth-seeking AI that protects us from bad AIs developed by corrupt people like Sam Altman and OpenAI and Google and so on. I just think that's the way forward. So I expect that many of you are going to be angry at this idea. And I want you to tell me in the comments on YouTube or in the replies on X, tell me, do you think the US government is going to get better? Do you think the US government, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, are they going to stop borrowing money? We're going from 37 trillion to soon $42 trillion in national debt. Interest payments are the number one budget item. That's going up. Do you think that that's going to change? Do you think we're going to bring the debt down from 42 trillion, or do you think that we're really going to go up? Do you think that we can grow the economy without growing electricity generation? How do you grow the economy without growing electricity generation? How do you explain that? I don't see how you grow the economy without growing electricity generation. And the Republican Party and the One Big Beautiful Bullshit bill have demonstrated they're not interested in growing electricity generation, which means they're not really serious about growing the economy. So you tell me how you see this playing out to where the United States actually does get better. Because I don't see it. I'm not saying that China doesn't have flaws. I think the Chinese government can be relied upon to support a growth goal, to support a multiplanetary goal, and to support developing artificial superintelligence. They would rather develop artificial superintelligence than have Sam Altman or Mark Zuckerberg develop it. So what am I missing? I know you don't like the CCP, but what am I missing in terms of trying to achieve the missions? The missions of making life multiplanetary, about a truth-seeking AI, about sustainable abundance. I don't see it happening in the United States. Why do you think it doesn't happen in China? What's the problem with my reasoning? I'm not saying this is going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I think this would be bad for. I'm a all-in Tesla investor. If Elon left for China, then that would probably be bad for my Tesla stock. But I'm just, I'm more motivated by missions than I am by my money. So tell me what you think. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.